Did you ever take any lessons?
I took one lesson so I lied. I took one lesson with Mr. Edwards when I was 9, and he taught me E, F, G on the high E string. That was it.
That was it.
And the rest is basically what Bill just said. You know, sit in the back of chemistry class in high school, and you know, me and my buddies like, oh, here, check out this new road.
Figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. We switched licks in the back. We still passed. And my problem was Eddie Van Halen has these big hands. I've got these small little fingers, and I can't reach like a lot of these other guitar players could do. So I can't play like these guys. I can't do those in-bass sweeps and stuff like that because I can't reach them.
Right.
And so I had to develop my style, which included basically just a lot of little chromatic stuff in the pentatonic scale just to make it look flashy and cool like everybody else was doing.
So a lot of this is just your own homework, and you come up with your own assignments.
Pretty much.
You have no teacher, you have nobody to instruct you, you just figure it out as you go. How much time do you spend recording every month?
I wish I spent a lot more than I do now. I probably do maybe a week's worth a month right now.
Well, that's a lot though.
And because I gig so much during the week, almost 5 to 6 nights a week, that I need a lot of alone time and leave me alone time so I can sit down and really focus and come up with stuff and record and come up with a melody and I need to be left alone. But when I have to be prepared and go out and play a gig somewhere, it just totally breaks that. So I just record a lot of ideas for now.
Yeah.
And then when the time comes, I'll put it all together.
Put it together. How about you, Bill? How much time would you say it varies from week to week, but each month, about how many hours would you say you spend recording?
Well, with me, it varies from year to year. If I'm doing an album, you know, it'll be just a wall of studio time for weeks and weeks. And then, you know, I may not hardly play the guitar for 6 months at a time because, you know, I don't gig all the time. I don't even have a band. So, you know, you can't... I figured this out a long, long time ago when I was between bands, like back in the mid-90s. You can't just sit around and play for the walls every day.
No.
You just can't do it. You know, they always say that, you know, performers need an audience. It's their food. Well, if you don't have any food, you're not going to do anything. So, but these days I have an audience, but it's a CD listening audience, it's an MP3 audience. So it's kind of weird. You put all this effort into an album and then you wait for people to buy it and give you feedback on it and say whether they liked it or not.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's BillMenchen.com and there's TroyGray.com.
TroyGrayGuitar.com.
TroyGrayGuitar.com. And they have a selection of CDs on their websites. You can go there, you can take your choice of whatever you want to buy. And we'd love to have you do that and support these guys. Now, if you could put a band together to work with you, from any musicians in the whole wide world, who would you pick to work with, Troy?
Ooh, that'd be tough because a lot of them are really educated, but a lot of them are really, really kick back and cool. One of my favorite guitar players I would love to work with would be Al Di Meola, fusion jazz player. And all my life I'm like, oh, I'd love to play like him. But I have small fingers. And then I met him a couple of years ago, and his hands are smaller than mine.
Oh my goodness.
I can't complain anymore.
There goes your excuse right out the window.
No more excuses. So that would be my guitarist I would love to work with. Bass player, even though he's not around anymore, Paco Pistorius would be wonderful. A cool little story about him is he loved to eat Kentucky Fried Chicken before a gig because the grease would help his fingers move quicker on the strings.
He had the grease in the crevices of his...
Exactly.
No wonder that guy was like grease light.
Exactly. Chicken grease light. Kentucky Fried Chicken. Well, can I say that? Kentucky Fried... No, anyway. And as a drummer, wow. A drummer would be Neil Peart. That guy's incredible to me.
Uh-huh.
I love his playing. I love his style, and he's just incredible. Great lyrics writer too.
Wow.
And
Sounds like you'd have a good lineup.
it's a great dream.
How about you, Bill? Who would you, if you could choose anybody in the whole wide world to work with and put a group together, who would it be?
Milli Vanilli.
Nice.
They sound fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, they do. This is my cheat sheet again. Someday I have to get to the point where we're professional enough to use cue cards, but we don't have cue cards at this time, and we don't have anybody to hold cue cards, so we're still doing this. What is a goal that you haven't attained yet as a guitarist, Troy?
Winning a Grammy.
Oh yeah, that's a big goal.
Just being satisfied with my playing, but I don't think I ever will be, because we're always learning and learning new things and developing our styles. So for me personally, that's my greatest goal, is to be satisfied with how I play, but it's never going to happen. On another note, there would be my next CD I've been trying to work on for the past 5 years.
Oh.
Just can't get it released. That's my next goal, is to get another CD released. Last one was released in 2008, I think it was. And it's just been flatlined since then.
Okay, so you have to get that done.
I have to. This year, I have to.
Okay, how about you, Bill? What's a goal that you haven't attained yet that you feel like you have to do?
I'm not sure. I guess the main thing, I don't really think like a guitar player, because I have to do basically everything on my albums except drums, and that really means the biggest job out of that is, I wear a lot of hats, not just songwriter and guitar player and bass player and whatever else I happen to be playing, but the most important thing is engineering and producing. And I still, as a goal in that, I still don't believe that I've made my best record yet, and to try to gear up for one that's better than the ones that I have it's like one of those things when you think about your next record at this point, it's like a big deep breath and you go, man, I know how much work I put into the last one. What am I going to have to do to get better? I'm not saying that my albums are so great that I can't top them. It's just that, for me, I'm putting out everything into them. I'm making each album as good as I can make it at that time.
Yes.
And it's like lately, I don't have an album planned in the works right now at all, but I've been working on drums. I bought a different drum set. I'm using some different mic positions. And I'm doing that work in advance, trying to get a better drum sound.
Yeah. But you'll be doing another album.
Someday.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when.
And not in a too far distant future. Okay. Both of you guys have a Stryper connection. And that's sort of how we became acquainted, but not really. I know a lot of it is recent, but did some of the groundwork for that connection begin years ago?
Long time ago, 1985, somebody on the school bus, high school bus, handed me a cassette, and saw these guys dressed in yellow and black sitting on this van. And I was like, Stryper, why would somebody name a band after a fish? And I'm just like, okay, well, I listened to it, and I was like, okay, sounds cool. That's pretty neat. Rock on. But really didn't hit me until I went to my first Stryper show. And that was 1986. And I heard the song Reach Out, and it just floored me.
Wow.
It totally floored me. And I was hooked ever since, not just the music, but the message. And ever since then, Stryper became a huge part of my life, to where if I didn't have somebody to talk to, or I was just depressed in my bedroom or something like that, I'd pop in the Stryper cassette, and it made me feel pretty good. And then that's when I started to really focus on, God being there in my life. Through Stryper. They were definitely the conduit for me.
Wow. That's a nice story.
And then ever since then, they've always been a part of me. Even when I was going through my phase of playing Spanish guitar, and not really into playing metal anymore. But I always went back to a Stryper song to listen to. And it was almost like they were with me throughout my whole life and never left me.
Yeah.
And then one day somebody was on Facebook selling grab bags.
I wonder who that would be.
I have no clue. And so how many did I buy?
I think you bought like dozens and dozens.
Dozens of them. I kept one for me. And then I gave all the other ones away to other people. Yeah, a lot of people couldn't afford. I even had you send them to other people that...
I remember sending them to some other people.
And then I gave some away. And of course I kept my collection too.
Oh, sure.
And ever since then, we just developed a relationship, a friendship, and eventually got to meet Robert.
Yeah.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. And you guys are really good friends now.
We're really
Close
close friends. Yes.
That's good.
We haven't even jammed yet or anything. I broke my leg back in December, and I was in the middle of a carpet removal job at my house, and I was going to lay down wood floors, but I broke my leg, and he was kind enough to come down and help remove the carpet.
Yeah.
And I was just like, Robert Sweet's in my house. Whoa! I'm not worthy. But it was a blessing, and that just shows you what kind of a man he is to come down and give somebody a hand like that.
He gives me a hand every once in a while.
Every once in a while?
Yeah. Okay, how about you, Bill?
Well, I knew about Stryper in the 80s when they first came out. I'd heard about, them coming out and everything, and I was like, cool. And of course, unlike Troy, I was sold on him before I seen him in concert. I remember I happened to see Jimmy Swaggart on TV, and of course he was complaining about him. And I remember his son had went to one of the concerts. They sent him out as a field research.
Oh, yeah.
And he came back and he was complaining about it. And I remember him saying, it was so loud my hair was moving. And I told Bruce, I said, man, we got to go see this band. They're going to be good. So we knew they were going to be good right there. I want my hair to move when I see it. And it did. And I had a lot of hair.
You can actually feel your body vibrate, at one of their concerts.
Yep.
Okay. What do you feel, Troy, has been your best gig ever? In the whole time you've been playing. I know you've played a lot of gigs.
My best gig that's memorable to me would be the time I played solo at the Ford Amphitheater in Vail, Colorado, in front of about 1,000 people. And I'm on stage by myself. And that is a scary feeling when you're there by yourself. Remember I talked about that support group, like a band being behind you.
Yes.
And there I am. And I do suffer from stage fright. And I'm getting ready to play, and who's sitting right there in front of me? Former President Ford and Betty Ford, right in front of me.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like, okay, the pressure's on.
Oh yeah.
And I played that gig. And I had the most fun. The people got into it. The audience was applauding, and I just fed off of that.
Oh yeah.
And I walked off that stage, just feeling 1,000 feet tall.
Oh yeah.
And it was a lot of fun.
Just to be appreciated.
Absolutely.
And for them to love what you do means so much.
Yes.
And it makes you feel like working harder and harder and harder to get better and better and better.
Because I want to experience that again.
That's right.
But then there's those gigs when there's like 3 people in the audience and one of them has to come up and criticize you.
Yes. I know about that too.